Hey, GLP-1 plus size community. Before we jump into the podcast, please take the time to leave us a 5-star review on whatever audio platform you're listening to the podcast on. Share your story and how the podcast has helped you. This will help us get referred up in the audio platform so that we can reach more people that need our help, our support, and guidance from our doctors. Help us get loud and change things.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault. You want to know a hack to get insurance to cover your GLP-1 prescriptions? Here's the truth. Most people get denied the first time that they try, and insurance companies are betting that you're just going to give up. But you do have rights, and you can appeal not just once, but multiple times. The problem is the process is confusing and it's time consuming, and a lot of providers just don't have the bandwidth to be able to fight through it with you. So that's why I partnered with Claimable. It's an easy-to-use tool that helps you build expert-backed appeals proven to work. So don't give up on your shot at coverage. Exhaust your appeals. Go to getclaimable.com/plus-sides to learn more and use code PLUS-SIDES with a Z to save.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not one, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Yeah. That really explains things for me now that I think about it because in 2024, Kim's aware of this. I think Kim went through it this year. Where we were on Mounjaro, we were on the tirzepatide, we were rocking it and rocking and rolling. And at a certain point, it stopped. Like I fell off. But what happened before I got on and I decided I'm going to go to the HRT because my gynecologist said, "Hey, ma'am, you're in peri." So I went and got on HRT, and my big gripe while I'm still on tirzepatide was I felt like I was premenstrual and it never came.
Yeah.
My appetite was so like out of this world. Even though I was still on tirzepatide, I would get, like I always said, I'd get a nice wall, but that HRT was like a really great, like missing piece. Like it stopped that premenstrual carbo load that I wanted every single day.
Yeah.
It was torture. It was torture. I was like, I've worked so hard to get to this point and now I'm getting it back. And what's going on? I'm getting a period twice a month. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
No. So that makes, that makes sense. I hope everybody listening to this, if they haven't, if they're thinking, hey, I'm starting to experience regain or it's stopped working. What's wrong with me? Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Honestly, I think we've seen it a lot because many of us, like, especially people that listen to our show, are like age 35 to 65. Like we have a pretty big swath of people, right? That's kind of peak time for all this stuff to start. You know what I mean? So I think that people do have times where they start to regain and they do think it's quote stops working and things like that. And I think when you're on a GLP-1 journey, you have to remember that there are many reasons why you gain and even lose weight, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I think that understanding more about it is important. I will be honest. I'm still like very new, but I know when Kat and I went to the Your Weight Matters conference for the Obesity Action Coalition, food was really good there. And I could not stop eating. And I looked at Kat, I'm like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, calm.
It was very nutritious though, because
She's like,
they
you're
they
gonna
had
be
worked
fine.
with dietitians. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
I
I was
think,
feeling,
yeah,
I was all like all of a sudden, it was just all of a
I
sudden,
started
you
feeling that
know?
way.
Yeah. And she was like, it's gonna be okay. Like you're gonna
Oh,
get
I
on
promise you,
medicine and
with
you're
what I
gonna be
went
okay.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a huge difference. You know, I still don't think I've quite found the right dose or not. Like,
And you
or
have to keep trying,
yeah,
honestly. Yeah, the first you're not gonna hit it out of the park on the first
yeah,
one, right?
yeah,
Especially now, as we're starting to treat more women, I think people are being conservative in their dosing out of the gate, right? Instead of just like
mhm,
getting you to where you need to be. But,
yeah,
it's interesting because I have some of my patients who, well, first, perimenopause can start as early as 35, right?
yeah,
In some ethnicities, perimenopause will start that early. So
Mhm.
I used to try and give everybody a talk when they're coming in to see me at 40. That's what I decided like 2 years ago. Everybody gets my TED talk on you need to know this about your hormones. And then over the last few years, I was like, wait, but there's a lot of women who are, especially now that women are having kids later as well, that have their kids and go immediately into perimenopause and they can't differentiate between the
yeah,
two, right? So I started counseling women at 35 to start to look for these symptoms. But the interesting thing is that in women who struggle with overweight and obesity, the hot
mhm,
flashes can be more intense during the perimenopause period. And then, it's interesting because the GLP-1s can actually help mitigate some of those hot flashes for a short period of time because in the what we call the temperature regulation zone of your brain or the thermoregulatory zone of your brain, there's actually GLP-1 receptors there. So in my patients who are peri or menopausal, when they started GLP-1, some of them actually have an initial relief of their hot flashes. But then as they lose weight and their fat mass is decreasing because the estrogen is dropping further, because you don't have as much fat tissue to make estrogen, their hot flashes come back and get worse, right? So it's kind of almost like this two-pronged effect where initially they feel some relief, but then the weight loss actually makes their hot flashes worse.
Hmm.
And so I am a big proponent of treating both. You have to treat both with the body composition changes that are happening in perimenopause and menopause. You are at a metabolic disadvantage for that if you're already struggling with overweight and obesity. And so you have to treat the overweight and obesity and you have to treat the perimenopause. And actually, the International Menopause Society had a symposium, I want to say like a year or two ago, or maybe that's when I found it on YouTube. But they talk about that exact same thing, right? Like they run through all of these studies. It's very long. I don't remember how long I watched it for, but the conclusion at the end, I'll save you all the time. The conclusion at the end was you have to treat both, right? Which
yeah.
intuitively I think we know, but it was nice to see that validated in studies.
Wouldn't it like so with your and like and this is just
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, of course, so you correct me if I'm wrong, but I know when we talked to Dr. Rosen, when we're on a GLP-1, that medication starts in the brain, right? Because that's
Correct.
where
Yeah.
I would assume that's where all of our hormones kind of start, right? So
Mhm.
that would make sense for so would it make sense for GLP and HRT to work together because they're all both are kind of originating right up here in the brain. And how does that work together, like say within the endocrine system and through perimenopause
Yeah.
together in sync
Yeah. And
or
I
is
think
it in sync?
I think, for women, it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Like with our ovaries being full of eggs when we're born to it declining over a period of time until we hit menopause and then having none. The brain is actually secreting FSH, the pituitary gland specifically is secreting two hormones,
FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone, and the other one is LH, which is luteinizing hormone. And they're kind of secreted in these pulses to make, for the first part of the menstrual cycle when the uterine lining is building up to this, if you don't ovulate and have a fertilized egg, to how the hormone levels decline. And then you have shedding of that layer before it builds back up again, right? And the shedding is the menstrual period. The brain is coordinating the symphony of things that's happening within your uterus and to prepare the egg for release so that you can potentially procreate, right? And so it's interesting because I think the FSH and LH, I'm not sure what the connection would be to GLP-1, but they're kind of working independently. The end product of the estrogen being produced and the progesterone being produced is we do have estrogen receptors everywhere in our body, right? From kind of head to toe. And that's why you have such a variety of symptoms when you get into perimenopause and menopause, right? So if we start thinking top down, like the brain fog, the confusion, the mood changes, the anxiety, the depression, the irritability that comes out, difficulty with sleeping, difficulty with palpitations is a very common symptom, right? A lot of my friends who are cardiologists are like, these midlife women keep coming to see me because they have heart palpitations and there's nothing structurally wrong with their heart, or changes to the GI tract, or, and so on and so forth, joint pain, muscle weakness, all of these different things that can manifest in different ways. Genitourinary syndrome of menopause. It's because the estrogen receptors are not being fed throughout our whole body. Whereas I think the GLP-1 focuses much more in the brain, compared to estrogen and progesterone.
Yeah. So in terms of both of them, right? Because so Kat takes the pill and I do the creams. And I do feel like I fluctuate so much, and I always wonder, is there, how do you know, like, when you're getting the right dose or when to up or when to down? Like, it's so hard to know how you're how you're reacting. It's just, I don't even know how to fill that out, or even, I don't even know how to articulate that to my provider. Do you know what I mean?
So one of the things that I utilize in my practice is, we don't have a ton of great screening tools, but we do have one called the Green Climacteric Scale. And it is 21 of, the 80 plus symptoms of menopause in the thing. And you rank them. 80, yes.
Wow.
There's a lot, right? But this tool is the most validated one that we have. And it goes through 21 symptoms. You rank them to none, mild, moderate, or severe, and you get a score of 0, 1, 2, or 3 for each of them. So for every patient that comes into my practice, I do this as an initial starting point. And the score is out of 63. And the tool is that, like, if you have a score between 12 to 15 or higher, that means you're symptomatic from perimenopause or menopause, right? So I use that as like hey, you know what, you are symptomatic. It's not in your head. Let's go ahead and get you started. And then we're going to look at which symptoms actually improve, like 6 weeks after we start you on therapy, 4 to 6 weeks after we start you on therapy. If something's getting better and something's not, then maybe at that point, let's make an adjustment to your doses and see how you're doing, right? That's my way of doing it. I think there's no right answer, but at least that way I have something that I'm tracking with my patients. And I'm actually trying to put together my own version of this that also takes metabolic health into consideration, because I don't think we talk about those things enough, right? I mean, I see blood sugars start to rise. All of a sudden, people are becoming pre-diabetic. Why? Right? Or cholesterol jumps. I had one patient whose cholesterol went from like 180 to almost 300.
Whoa.
Right? Nothing else. But then I put her on hormone replacement, and we checked it a few months later, and her cholesterol had dropped 80 points. So it was still elevated, but it wasn't as elevated, right? So there are things that you can track. Her prediabetes went away, which is amazing. Wow. Right. So there are different things that we can track metabolically that we should be tracking. I don't think there's enough data on it right now, but I'm trying to work that in with my patients to make sure we know how they're responding to things.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah, because like I feel like I kind of went back to my doctor at one point and I said, I used to be really sensitive to birth control pills.
Yeah.
And so I told I told him, I was like, I'm very emotional. Like I keep crying, like I just be exercising and I'll just start crying. And I go, and I kind of remember when I was on birth control, like back in the day, it was sort of like that. And he's like, okay, let's go down to one pump, you know? And then eventually it was, let's take the estrogen down a little bit and go up on the progesterone or you know what I mean? And it's sort of been like that and kind of just balancing and trying to figure it out. And not every month is the same either. And it seems to be, and like when it's a big stressful month, then do you guys hear that reverb? Is it me?
Yeah, I can hear something. I don't know what it
heard
is.
something too. I don't know what it is.
It's weird because it sounds like a kid's game or something. It doesn't sound like us.
It doesn't
You know what? My window's open and there's a high school behind me. I can't hear.
Oh,
It's okay. I don't hear anything, but
we'll have it removed.
Every once in a while, there's a noise over here. But
Okay, I thought it was maybe somebody's TV was on or something. I was like, just I
it's not that close, but yeah. I mean, if it wasn't, it's probably me.
It's not. It's fine. In terms of like figuring out or like why you need estrogen and progesterone, I did hear a doctor, her name is Dr. I feel like Tina or Tanya or something like that, but she's sort of a specialist in this area, and she was saying that sometimes she would control somebody's with HRT just with progesterone and not with estrogen. Have you heard of that?
I have, right? And I don't know how I feel about that entirely, right? Like there's some women who respond really well to just progesterone alone. I was like you, Kim. I took birth control for a little bit after I got married, and I'm a pretty even-keeled person. I was all over the place emotionally, like to the point I cried in the middle of Waterboy with Adam Sandler because he had to bring people water, and my husband was like, "Please stop taking that." He's like, "If we have a kid, that's all I can think of." And I'm like, "Let's bring everybody the water." I was like freaking out, right? And he was like, "This is not normal. Like, you need to get off of that." And so I have tried oral forms of hormone replacement. Like I tried micronized progesterone. I didn't tolerate it. Like there's just some people who don't do well with that. There are other people that progesterone is magical for. Right. I have a girlfriend of mine who was like, I don't know that I want to start both right away. So my doctor said I could just start the progesterone. And she called me like a week later and she's like, this is magic for me. Wow. And she felt like her hot flashes went away, her joint pain improved, things like that. So I think we're so genetically diverse. Like what works for you is not going to work for me, is not going to work for the next person. Right.
Yeah,
so we have to find what works best for us in terms of like our mood and how we're feeling. And, you know, for my patients who are not tolerating gel, then I will try them with a patch if they feel. I usually start with the patches because I like those the best, and the twice a week patch is less reactive to the skin, in my opinion. So I've had patients who have really good success on the patch. I had a patient who came to me who was on micronized progesterone and couldn't tolerate it because she was getting a lot of swelling, which was kind of interesting. So we actually switched her over to progesterone that was based off of another drug called spironolactone, which we use to treat PCOS. It's a diuretic. And so this particular progesterone has diuretic properties, and she actually felt less swollen on that, right? So you kind of have to talk through what all of these different symptoms are and go to somebody who is going to talk through that with you and be willing to make adjustments on how you're feeling and has a way to track how you're feeling, right? Because otherwise it just kind of feels like a little bit of voodoo.
I mean, it's part of that, the tracking seems to be like, I think really important, like checking in and talking to your provider, like every month, like it's because it is sort of like a weird moving target and going up and down all the time throughout the month. Right. Yeah. Like that's what I was going to ask you is like, I don't know if we talked much the last time we were here about blood work, like doing blood work and figuring out, because I feel like I've heard so many doctors say that this blood work today is going to be totally different than the blood work tomorrow when you're in that perimenopause era. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. Right. I always tell people like we go through more hormonal changes in 1 month to have a period than most men do in their lifetime. Right. So just the shifts that are maybe
yeah.
You know, like just when you look at if you were to look at a graph of like what the hormones are doing during a menstrual cycle, they're at different points all the way through. And then you hit perimenopause where, you know, from a biologic perspective, your body is desperately trying to ovulate as much as possible to give you the most chances to reproduce. And that's where you go into, I think people are calling it hormonal chaos now, right? Because you'll ovulate at different times and sometimes a little too close together. So you'll have like 2 periods almost on top of each other. And the fluctuations are so wild that really the only thing that's reliable are the symptoms at that point.
Yeah.
So checking the labs, in my opinion, is a waste of money. I offer it to patients who want to know, but I tell them, you know, it may not be interpretable. And then if you're on hormone replacement, if you're on a Mirena IUD, that can actually suppress the pituitary hormones, the FSH and LH, to lower levels. So it can falsely look like your pituitary gland may be shut down. Because one of the ways that our pituitary works is it will send these positive signals to different things in our body, right? Like, so it'll signal to the thyroid to make thyroid hormone, to your adrenals to make cortisol, to your ovaries to make estrogen, for our male patients, you know, for our male listeners, you know, to the testes to make testosterone. Well, all of those hormones have this negative feedback effect on the pituitary. So it's like, when there's enough, it goes back and signals to the pituitary and it's like, hey, there's enough of me around. So modulate the signal so it's not like freaking out, right? But if there's not enough around, the pituitary gland starts amplifying it. So what happens in women who go through menopause or who are postmenopausal, 1 year post-menopause is when the labs will definitively show you're in menopause, because your body has been deprived of estrogen for so long that the FSH has risen up over 50 at that point.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's really the only time that it's super reliable. Even in that 1 year after your final period, it's still a little bit of starts and fits.
Wow.
That's really the only time it's going to be very, very useful. You know, there's also a lot of talk about, well, you know, should I be checking my levels to make sure it's the right level as we move forward, right? And unfortunately, we have not had enough studies to validate this. And this is a sad statement on medical research, that we just haven't studied women's bodies. We don't know what a normal range is. The other part of it that makes it hard to establish a normal range is that we fluctuate so much during the cycle. What is normal, right?
Yeah.
What's normal at the beginning of the cycle is not normal at the end of the cycle. And it's hard to say. So sometimes I will do labs for women on day 3 of their period for the FSH and the estradiol, and day 19 or 18 for the progesterone. So we can see where they are at their peaks, right? And if they're truly low at that point and your cycle's predictable, okay, maybe it was marginally helpful. It's still not going to change what I'm going to do for you. I'm still going to offer you hormones and see if you can get your symptoms better, right? So it comes down to like where people are at in their understanding or desire to have that information.
You mentioned that that we're still, which is amazing, because to the year 2025 that we are studying women's bodies, right? So I wanted to ask you, kind of to build on, like, so with HRT and GLP-1 together being combined for menopause, and peri, is that right now still currently like in trials clinically?
Not
Okay.
even,
And then
not
also,
even in trials yet.
and then I was going to ask, what about retatrutide? Because, you know, and then so that's like a different, that's miles ahead, right?
I'm actually, that is not even close to where we need to be. I wish, right? I don't
That
think
just
they'll
sounds like
have,
really, like a good nerd out kind of.
I don't think they'll have that data, you know, validated in my lifetime, right? Or at least not when it'll be useful to me, which makes me sad. But we didn't start studying women until 1993.
That makes, I mean, if you think about it, because there's,
Yeah,
especially like when I talk to like old school men, and and the word menopause comes out of my mouth, they're like, "Whoa, I shouldn't have asked you anything."
And I'm like, that's right. Shut up.
Yeah.
sorry.
Like men are like, it's like, whoa. And I remember I said it once. We were in and it was like a co-ed department, you know, not department, like it was a co-ed like crowd. And the women in my age group, they all started going, menopause, menopause, menopause. Because he was like, whoa. But that's true. I mean, 93, right?
In 1993, and the Women's Health Initiative came out in 2002. So we didn't even have a decade before it all got shut down again.
Yeah.
And even if you look at some of the animal
When did
models,
they shut it down?
it was like 2002 that the results came out. So that's not even 10 years, right?
And were
And
those
they didn't
results
shut
they were
it down
saying
per
that,
se, but they just
yeah,
weren't as motivated to do it.
but
Yeah.
were those the result? This was the first being studied in 93. Was that the results when they studied postmenopausal women, and then they were asserting that that was causing cancer or heart disease?
You know,
Not
I have to go back and look at all of those. Like I think what they were thinking was that, you know, with these drops in hormones, that's why we see heart disease and stroke and stuff
Mhm.
happen later in life, right? Because initially I remember when I was trained in medical school, which was in the early 2000s, we talked a lot about how men get heart disease younger and for women it's delayed post menopause, and
Yeah.
that was where the theory came that, oh, those hormones must be protective, and that's why women don't have that
Oh,
type of stuff happening until later, right? So I think that's kind of what prompted the studying of that. But even in the animal model studies that they do, the mice that they study, that a lot of times they have oophorectomized them, meaning cut out their ovaries because the hormone fluctuations are too unpredictable. And
stop.
you know, I'm not even kidding. Like,
Oh
so
my
we're not ovary-less mice, right?
No.
I
That's
saw
kind of the whole point, the ovaries, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
they're a pain in the ass. They're, you know?
Right, source of life, pain in the
Yeah,
ass, all of the
seriously,
things.
I don't know.
that
So
could be a definite like what metaphor. Source of life and a pain in the ass.
That's right. So true. That's what we'll call this episode. I
I
was
like that
wondering,
actually.
about, it was a while ago when we were first sort of Kat and I were kind of dabbling, wanting to know more about this.
Yeah.
And a gentleman came on and he said that his wife did
Mhm.
some testosterone, like low dose testosterone.
Yeah.
And I've heard of such. In the practice I go to, they give us DHA.
Yeah.
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 But it's not testosterone. They don't do that. But what is that? Like, what's up with that?
Yeah. So
Sorry.
I think testosterone has not been studied in women appropriately, right? The Endocrine Society, which is like one of our big societies for endocrinology, was very anti-testosterone in women. And I think that slant is because we see a lot of women with PCOS who have very high levels of testosterone, and we are actively trying to lower them, right?
Yeah.
But what we hadn't considered is in women who, like, for example, go through premature ovarian failure or, you know, have to have a total hysterectomy initially, like 50% of your testosterone production comes from your ovaries. The other 50% is from your adrenal glands, right? So I think in everybody's mind, it was like, oh, well, the adrenals will kick in and they'll do what we need to do. So it's not that big of a deal. And there was actually a position statement out that said women should not be given testosterone. They have since recanted that, as more studies have shown that testosterone is actually very important, especially for treatment of hyposexual desire disorder. So for women who are struggling with low libido, I think we still need to study it more to see if there are cardiovascular benefits and things like that. Because if you look at the whole steroid pathway of how, you know, cholesterol gets turned into all these different hormones, testosterone, when it is done being made, if there's an excess of it, the body actually turns that testosterone into estrogen.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think it's like TBD. I do offer it to my patients for people who are struggling with low libido. You know, it was interesting. I've been checking levels in people, but I just watched one of the Menopause Society conference talks by Dr. Susan Davis, who is very well known in Australia for all of her work in women's care. And she was like, testosterone levels don't mean anything. And I was like, oh, I might have to change my practice and read those studies a little bit, because my understanding of it is a little different, right? But this is where we need to collaborate, right? Like the gynecologists need to be talking to the endocrinologists, need to be talking to primary care. Everybody needs to get on board and be collaborative. I don't think any one group owns this space. And we all have something to offer to the conversation. So I just thought that was really interesting. I'm going to do a deep dive in the studies she cited. But she brought up some really interesting points that I hadn't considered before. Like, do I actually need to be checking an initial level? Probably not. Do I need to check subsequent levels? Yes. But in my mind, I kind of like want to know.
Yeah.
which way it's going. So I have to look at that a little bit more, but I think it's becoming more accepted. I use the, there's not a, no surprise, there's not a testosterone product that's FDA approved for women, right?
Shocker. Oh, is it like off label when you're prescribing it?
100%. So what I will do is currently the Menopause Society recommends dosing it for 1/10 of the male dose. I still think that's too high. And actually, Dr. Susan Davis said that today too. And so I feel validated. I will start women on a lower amount, but it comes in a tube that is like 50 milligrams of testosterone in 5 grams of gel. So what I have my patients do, because I'm type A and I want to know exactly what they're taking, is I'll have them buy a Baker scale off of Amazon that measures to 2 decimal points, and they just put a little plate on there, like zero it, and then you measure out 0.25 grams of gel, which is 2.5 milligrams, and you apply that to your inner thigh.
Denied coverage of your GLP-1? Do not quit. That is exactly what insurance wants you to do. You have rights and you can appeal more than once. Claimable makes it simple with expert-backed appeals that actually have been proven to work. Check out the link getclaimable.com/plus-sides and use code +sides with a Z to save.
Want the fastest working GLP-1? For half the price, Ro now offers FDA-approved weight loss injections cheaper, with results you can see faster. Lose 15% of your weight with the formula from Eli Lilly that hits not 1, but 2 hormones to curb hunger and nausea. Weight loss faster, confidence higher, price cheaper. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
Right. And that's a low, that's like 1/20th of the male dose. But I think that's a more appropriate starting dose because you never know how somebody's going to absorb something. I have some people who absorb like a dream through their skin and their levels shoot up. I have other people who don't absorb any of it at all. And then we have to titrate up the dose so that they're using enough gel to get enough through the skin barrier. There's a lot of talk about like pellets. I'm not a huge fan of pellets.
I've heard people say not to because you can't go back once you
Right,
start.
exactly. And then I think the other problem with the pellets is they tend to overtreat. And then when you get used to the higher testosterone level, when they wear off, you feel like crap because it's like the degree of the drop matters, right? And so I think that is problematic. Plus, the male pattern baldness, the acne, the facial hair, clitoromegaly is another thing that happens. Like, your body really has these changes that may not be reversible if you overdo it, right? So I tend to be like a low and slow kind of person, right? We're getting you feeling better incrementally, but I don't want it to go over the top where we're doing harm for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting.
It is
Wow.
fascinating. So a lot of different stuff, honestly.
It really blows my mind, like how much hormones affect us. I will say, like, I'm telling you, like when I was first on a GLP for like the first 2 years, I for sure was falling in love with the way that I felt. I was like, oh my God, this is what normal people feel like. This is incredible. And I was still doing good. And then I got my gallbladder taken out. And I think again, this is probably just timing. I mean, I'm almost 46, but I had my gallbladder taken out and I had my first hot flash. And I called Kat and I was like, my cells are on fire. What is happening? She's like,
hilarious.
I
feel like I was like, wow. You just had your first. You felt like it's all up here.
I was on a live and I took off my shirt. Like I had a thing on, but I was like, I freaked out. I was like, it's awful. So I think I found a way to like control. I haven't had really any of that. I think I have every now and then I'll have one, but it's mild and fast, as opposed to like on fire, because that's what it feels like. It's really awful. But I think that like the people don't realize like how much this can affect your sleep, how it affects your libido, how it affects your mood. Like I think I've struggled with all of a sudden started. I have no reason to be sad. Like I'm not a rich woman or anything, but I have a beautiful life. I am so privileged but I'm so sad. And I just get like this, and sometimes I'll just call Kat, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. She's like, walk it off, and I'm like, okay, I'll go for a walk, or I'll try to like do something else, like away from digital stuff. I'll just go outside and sit in the sun, and like things like that. but I think that we may not realize how much this can affect
Oh,
that. I mean, and it's not all the time. Oh, we
yeah.
lost him.
Oh, we
Yeah.
lost.
Oh,
Yeah, she'll come back.
no. Okay.
Yeah. It's not all the time, but I think that a lot of people I see posting about it and talking about it, like, I'm depressed, I'm sad, you know?
And it's real, right? Like
That's
I
a big part
remember,
about it. Yeah, I've
yeah,
always, seen that the depression is a big part of Perry, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was actually the anxiety, right?
That
And the
too.
anxiety was crippling for me, honestly. It was scary. I was just like, what is this feeling? Because I've never quite felt that way. And it's amazing. Like when I started on an estrogen patch, it was life changing for me. It like went away. Right. And I think that we underestimate that. Sleep is another one that we seriously underestimate. So estrogen, when your estrogen levels drop, you don't go into that deep REM sleep as much. But my sister is a TMJ specialist, and she and I were
That's a
talking
good question.
about,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, I saw it on the list.
Perimenopause.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
here's an interesting thing with TMJ, a lot of it can be due to sleep apnea, and 80% of women who have sleep apnea don't actually know that they have it, right? Because it will happen regardless of what your body size is. So it can happen in people who are normal BMI, it can happen in people who have overweight or obesity, but the mechanism in perimenopause and menopause is that we know that it's already like you're losing muscle mass through the rest of your body. Why would that not happen in your neck and in your jaw? The same thing is happening in those
Mm.
areas, right? And so basically what happens is your airway collapses on itself, even if you haven't gained weight in your neck and causing that pressure. It's because the muscles can't hold it open. So your airway restricts, and you can have sleep apnea develop because of that.
Can we do exercises to strengthen these muscles? Like
You know,
maybe
I'd have to ask my sister that. She practices, like, very holistically, which I really appreciate, but she is a TMJ specialist, that's all she does in her practice, and she works with, like, a chiropractor, a massage therapist, and she has all of these different things, but I don't know that it's enough to prop that, like, that airway
Yeah.
open. She uses orthotic devices that are very specific for TMJ and sleep apnea to help her patients, and she's a big proponent of using CPAP if you need it.
Yeah. I used to have a CPAP before
Yeah,
I lost all the weight, and then at
yeah,
one point, I found myself just, like, waking up and feeling like I had slept 5 hours and I had slept 2, and I
yeah.
was like, "Okay, I'm gonna stop using it," and I stopped using it, but then this whole perimenopause thing happened, and now I think I need to use it again because I do have TMJ.
Oh,
My teeth
interesting.
when I wake up in the morning, my teeth hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you're clenching, right? And
Yeah.
most people, as opposed to, and I'm quoting my sister on all of this, I should give you her contact. You should have her on the show. She's
I
fabulous.
agree.
Great.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
But she was telling me that when you more people clench than they grind, and when you clench your teeth, you are exerting 80 pounds of pressure on your teeth.
Wow.
And she gets mad at me, and I have to go do an evaluation with her at some point. She's like,
Yeah.
"When are you gonna get your butt down to Vancouver where I can,
Mhm.
like, check you out?"
I get it.
promise I'll be there at some point. But she was telling me that she sees people break their teeth off just from the degree of grinding, right? And that
I have a special my dentist made it for me. I
yeah,
had to get a crown. It
yeah,
was I had a cavity filled like 3 times on this tooth, right? And it had
yeah,
like it was my
yeah,
back bracket from my braces, so it was already weakened,
yeah,
but I had cracked that tooth in half and I had to get a crown. And he's
yeah.
like, "Could you grind?" So now and it's expensive, and so I am
Oh, yeah.
so, like, freaked out about it was that apparatus I put in my mouth every night was, like, $1,500 with insurance, so I was like,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
but that
Dang.
I
And
wonder that
that's one of the sad things. So my sister really advocates for her TMJ D patients,
Mhm.
and medical insurance doesn't cover those appliances, and neither does dental insurance, right? For her
yeah, it
treatment
wasn't there
protocol,
wasn't much coverage. I think that
there
maybe they
wasn't.
covered about 500 of it, and that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
It was
minimal at
expensive,
that.
but it's worth it 'cause, going through that process with my crown was
Yeah,
traumatizing.
I can only imagine. I mean, I feel like
So
we,
I'll
yeah,
put any sort of protection.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, and we
Yeah,
see the,
Kim, don't you're gonna have to do something. We don't
Yeah.
yeah,
want any of your teeth to get
I
cracked out
mean,
of your
I'm
mouth.
due to do a new I mean, I'm it's probably just time to get a new sleep study too, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and,
Mm.
so, I don't know, insurance and healthcare and all the things.
That's why we do this podcast. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Right.
We got to talk to your sister.
Yeah, she's her name's Priya Mystery. She's on TikTok and Instagram as the TMJ doc. And she's
hold that thought.
Huh?
Let's hold that thought. Let's put her up.
Yeah. I'm sure you follow her. She's got like 50,000 plus followers on both platforms.
I feel like I really do. Like now that you say that, I feel like I have seen somebody and I was like, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So now we have to
think
from grinding in perimenopause as well, because
Yeah.
And for sure, my face over the past year, 2 years specifically, not just the weight loss, it's drooped. It's not just from the weight pulling down. My face is changing. Like my bones have changed, and the shape. It's not just like I know we shrink, right? Our face looks different. But I've been this size before. My face is drooping. Like it's
because our collagen starts decreasing substantially in our 30s, right? So we don't have that tissue to bounce back and have our faces look the same.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There's some companies now that are creating compounded face estriol creams. Yeah, and they're supposed to be really good. I think
will that affect other hormones though? Like if you're on HRT, you know what I mean?
Theoretically, the dose is so low that it should not, because it's, it shouldn't, because the dose is so low in it, but there's not enough studies to validate that. I think the studies that do look at it actually show it's most helpful for the under eye. Compared to the rest of the face. So, I was like, I'll dab a little under my eyes.
Yeah.
Put my hands on it. Get those bags to go away.
Agreed now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I did want to talk about that wasn't on our top
let's do.
This was a big thing that came out this year in the American Diabetes Association standard of care. And it was all around bone health in people who had diabetes. So I did this huge deep dive into what that meant, because we already know that women who go through menopause are at risk for osteoporosis. One of the things that is kind of a lie that we've told ourselves is that the more you weigh, the more protected your bones are. There is actually data that shows people who have a BMI 35 and over are at a higher risk for an osteoporotic fracture. And if they have diabetes, the fracture risk is actually higher in men, which blew my mind, right? And they have a higher mortality from those osteoporotic fractures. So like that, this is like my new PSA to people. It's kind of depressing data. Our mutual friend Mateo's like, please don't post about that on TikTok. I'm like, but the people have to know. And she's like, it's depressing. I was like, okay. But I feel like people should know, right? Especially for women who are, peri or postmenopausal, who are struggling with overweight and obesity. We need to make sure that you're getting your bone density scans, because it is estimated that 1 in 2 women will have an osteoporosis related fracture in her lifetime. That's half of us on this call, right?
Half of us. It is.
Half of us. And the mortality from these fractures increases the older that we get. And so I am a big fan of doing a bone density scan at the age of 50 instead of waiting until much later. And I've had women in their 40s who go through early menopause who already have osteoporosis or osteopenia. And so that is a whole other conversation, probably a different topic, but I wanted to make sure.
What are some of the things, besides the obvious, I say, like, maybe like vitamins, minerals, exercise, what are some of the things maybe little unknown things we can do to strengthen our bones?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, the calcium vitamin D thing is real. You have to be, women should all be on calcium and vitamin D, that period. Right. I live in Seattle, so I think everybody should be on vitamin D because we get 9 months of gray here. But definitely those two, because there's data behind it that shows that it will help your bone density. And for the calcium part of it, if you're getting in 2 servings of dairy per day, like a cup of milk and a cup of yogurt or cottage cheese or something like that, 2 servings of dairy will get you the same as about 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of supplements, because the calcium from your food absorbs better than the calcium from supplements. So you need a higher dose of the supplements in order to get the same amount of calcium into your system. And then I generally recommend like 2,000 international units of vitamin D per day per person, right? You may have to go up or down on that depending on what your levels are. But here in the United States, they're not covered by insurance very well anymore, which drives me bananas. So that's a whole other ball of wax. Yeah,
I know.
Exactly.
Especially right now. Like, are you seeing it? Like, people are saying that their premiums are going up like 110%, and it's insane. Are you
I'm having such a hard time
Wow.
watching the news because literally every single thing healthcare related sends me over the edge, right?
Absolutely.
I can't
Healthcare premiums, Tylenol, circumcision.
Oh my God. It's one thing after another. I can't even like, I had somebody say like, why don't you do all these other things and help? And I was like, I don't think I can take it. Like, I'm just not strong enough, like, to have that be like a career.
That's what we talk about, prevention.
Like, Amy's a nurse, and like, I just, like, I just can't even. Like, I'm telling you, like, people who work in the healthcare system, I don't know how you guys survive mentally. It's like
It's interesting because
I just started doing specimen testing and handling. This is what I was telling Kim. I can't divulge way too much, but like handling specimens just still kind of G's me out. I'm like,
I told her, I was like, you're a nurse. You've got your gloves on. You just need to think like a nurse cat. You're a nurse cat in that moment.
I don't do well with vomit or like snot. So I get it, right? Like there's all things that set us off. But it's interesting because but it's interesting because I feel like science has almost become optional, right? And unfortunately, a lot of that is the distrust in the medical system, right? And we see it especially strong in our communities that are marginalized and are not well represented. So our patients who struggle with overweight and obesity, our female patients, like the people who are not getting answers and feel like they're getting gaslit in the doctor's office, that's going to be a problem, right? And then in the United States, we have a whole system that has developed because, in the 80s and 90s, we had people who were going on cruises and getting Rolexes from pharma for prescribing stuff, or they were doing procedures that weren't necessary. And then government regulation came in super hard. And it's almost like when you pull the pendulum up here because things get so extreme and you drop it, it's going to definitely catch the momentum to swing all the way the other way. And I kind of feel like we're at that other end right now. So hopefully it'll
I think also that could be, like I feel like we had that old school notion of medicine for the longest time where I am the doctor, typically white male, I'm dismissive. What I say goes, and I know.
I know more than you. Like, that was the vibe.
And it has recently, only like just as of recently, become more and more collaborative. So you still have this distrust as well. But I hope, like, with doing this work, people can start to see that medicine is definitely evolving.
It is. And for the first time, 3 or 4 years ago, we had more women matriculating into medical school than men. It was like 51% versus 49%. And I think that, we haven't had female representation until very recently. To your point, Kat, it was very paternalistic, and you just did what the doctor said.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel glad that that's changing. So our friend Sabina that you were on, remember we talked on, right? She was saying to me when I met her, she was like, I really do think that this is the pressure. This is the thing that could change our system, that will actually get it to change. Like, because there are so many people that are sick and the medicine is so out of reach, right? And I think she's right. And I think we're seeing that change in a lot of different ways, in participating in your care, right? And, more things with women, and from like we're talking about here with like HRT and all these things. Like, I think we're seeing, I think more females, I think we're seeing more women. I especially love when you meet a doctor that also takes GLP-1. Like, that's like a whole different story, especially if they're open about it. Like, there's a level of that is necessary. And the reason I say that is because I see it firsthand when I'm on a live, right? And I think I've mentioned this before, but people come and ask me questions about side effects. And I'll tell them, listen, I'm going to tell you what I did, but you got to go tell your doctor. And he's not going to take you off of it, right? They're not going to take you off of it. We're past that now, right? If they do, don't worry, come back. I'll find another doctor, And I tell them but the reason they're coming to me first, right, is because the trust is broken.
100%
broken with the provider. But I think if providers can find more ways to be like, here's what I think. What do you think about that? How do you feel about what I just said? Like, and I know that takes an extra couple minutes, but honestly, we have to have people like you specifically use the word, I think, participate. I think is the word that you use. Participate in the care, right? And I think that especially when you have obesity, like I say all the time, like when I went to see my nurse practitioner when I first started on these medicines. I was complaining about I had only lost 10 pounds. I didn't know what was wrong. I was in a defensive place. And so we go in, we sit down. She puts her computer down and sits down right across from me. And she's like, let's just talk for a few minutes. And she's like, I heard what you said. Like, I heard that you said you only lost 10 pounds. And that's such a win. 10 pounds is a massive amount of weight.
Yes.
And I just got in a place to receive. And then my whole life changed. Right? Like the treatment of care, the questions that I asked, and questioning authority in many different ways. Right. And all of these things like got better, and not in a bad way, in a good way. Right. Like, I mean, well, not in the beginning. I was pretty shouty and mean in the beginning, but but this shows I was mad. I was so mad in the beginning because I was like, why didn't I know about this sooner? Why doesn't everybody have it? Like I was just angry. And then people were so mean about it. But now I'm more like, I come from a place of, it doesn't matter really what this person thinks that made this comment or whatever. It matters what everybody else thinks it's around. That's listening. And so I can handle it better, not get so pissy. unless it's almost that time of the month, and then
all bets are off. Right?
I find too, like sometimes my husband, like he will do anything wrong, and I'll just be like, rawr! And he'll go, like that's a thing with perimenopause too.
Oh, absolutely. When I started my
lack of sleep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was not matching your energy. Like that was insane, but that's anyway, I can tell I'm like dwindling. I think we have a great episode. Do we feel like we covered everything we wanted to cover today?
We covered everything, honestly.
Oh, and let me make sure this is your sister, right?
Yes, that's her.
Oh, good. Send to me.
I'll be if you watch this or listen, I'll be contacting you.
Yeah, I'll be reaching out soon. We need to have a TMJ
the favorite
slash CPAP discussion.
I think she's really fun to talk to.
I love that. She looks fun. Plus, she's wearing pink. That's happy.
That's right. Pink's her favorite color. So
this has been a lovely conversation, ladies. Thank you so much for joining and being so open and honest. And thank you so much, Dr. Patil, for coming and educating us. And Mimi, thank you for giving us the tea, girl. I mean, that was a story. Dang. My husband's gonna watch it back and go, I'm gonna cut this whole thing for Mimi, make a separate video. I'm gonna be like, okay. He's gonna love it. Bear
only with the exception of like, and then Dr. Patil said, well, it might not even be in our lifetime when we see a trial combining Retta with
perimenopause. I know.
Yes, we have seen a trial. It's me. No, wait, no, she's not.
I know. I'm sorry. I was already posting the proposal. Yeah. But actually, I was really interested in what you were saying about the bone density and people assuming that if you're overweight, you've got good bone density, because that's exactly what I did. And when so it's not part of my trial, but it is part of some of the Retta trials is having regular DEXA scans. But I decided to do my own anyway. And when I had my first DEXA scan, I already had osteopenia, and I had no idea. The amazing thing about that, so I did then go to the trial staff and said, look, I've got osteopenia. Can I start on some vitamin D? Can I start on some calcium? I'm going to increase my weight-bearing exercise. And they said, yep, that all sounds good. But on the Retta, like one of the things I think about that is that it appears to be preserving muscle mass, and it appears to be improving bone density. My bone density has gone up by 6%. Has gone up by 6% since I've been on the trial.
I'm gonna
6%. I'm postmenopausal, and my bone density has gone up by 6%.
That's better than some of the other meds I use sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
My T-score has gone from minus 1.4 to minus 0.8.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in terms of the fat loss, so overall, out of all my fat loss, according to the DEXA scans, out of my total loss, 85% has been fat and only 15% has been lean.
Wow.
And when I started, I was 56% fat, 44% lean, and now I'm 61% lean, 39% fat. Like I'm sure it has a muscle preserving and bone preserving element to it.
That's so interesting.
Yes.
I don't think a daily vitamin tablet can account for all of that.
No.
Not at all.
So interesting. Oh, I love that. Was excellent. Oh, wait, God, I totally forgot to ask the question about urinary tract infections.
Oh, yes.
I saw that floating around about like
something.
I don't really even know how to ask the question.
Yes.
But it's like a big deal.
So genitourinary syndrome of menopause is where we don't have enough estrogen in our pelvic floor, basically, right? And so the pelvic floor starts collapsing because you don't have enough estrogen to do that. And what happens? Right. It's all just falling apart. But the urethra gets shorter because the muscles collapse. And so the surface of the skin to the bladder distance shortens and you get more urinary tract infections. So the difference between like an estrogen patch or an oral estrogen tablet is that is systemic. You can use vaginal estradiol cream tablets or rings to help rebuild the pelvic floor musculature. And that you should be on in addition to systemic HRT.
Okay.
It reduces the risk of UTI.
Because listen, I'm just going to say it, guys. I have to work really hard to pee.
Yeah.
Like it's new. It's been getting worse over the past 2 years. Shocking.
In addition to vaginal estrogen, life-changing.
I have to it's crazy. Okay. All right. I'm gonna.
You have to sit at. I have to sit at a certain angle. If I don't sit at a certain angle, it doesn't work.
I have to be like, I know we're in there. And I was like, what is wrong?
And all
you know
women.
What my OBGYN said? Yeah. It was because you were fat for so long.
No. Always.
I'm not even serious. I'm dead serious. The one who said the thing about me, about how I should be 135 pounds, that one, that's not like I had a big moment about it. Yeah, I know. Don't even.
That makes me mad. That makes me mad on your behalf. And I'm sorry.
I can't. I was so upset. Like I can't even.
It
was awful. And I was the reason I told Kat I was so upset is that I'm an advocate for other people. And in that moment, under that cloth, like because it was
vulnerable.
I forgot everything. And I just was like,
terrible.
Well, you're vulnerable. You're not going to pop off when you got half your clothes on.
Yeah. That's okay. I popped off in the car on TikTok.
I'm glad. And hopefully found a new doctor.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Well, speaking of, I'm going to say this.
That's really good to know. That's what causes the urinary tract infection.
Yeah. Have you seen this video? I think it's about 2 years old. She made a song of like, we've never studied the female body. It's a great song.
I will have to look that up.
Yeah, send it
to all up on my feed now that we're talking about it and you showed it to me, right?
This perfect entrance into what Amy was saying.
Yeah.
All right. This has been so good, guys. Thanks. I wanted to get into that last question.
Yeah, I'm so glad you did.
I floating around. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
But now I do.
I didn't understand. Wow.
Okay. All right, guys. Talk to your doctor. I love you so much. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Jerk, find another one.
Oh, wait. Dr. Patil, I'm going to put all your links in the thing, but do you want to tell people where to find you? And Mimi also.
Yes. So my menopause practice is located in Redmond, Washington. It's called Eastside Menopause and Metabolism. My website is eastsidemM.com. My husband told me not to put the www in front of it because it ages me. I was like, do people not say that? He's like, no, people don't say that. And then my Instagram and TikTok handle are the same, which is at Dr. Patil-Sisodia, no hyphen in there. So reach out to me. I love interacting with people. I love, if there's certain types of content you want to see, let me know.
Awesome.
I want to thank you for, she made a content about reducing sugar in your coffee drinks. Using like half the pumps, and it's a great tip. I shared it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's
really. Yeah,
it's amazing how your taste buds readjust.
Mm-hmm.
Less sugar.
GLP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing tastes good on a GLP.
Yeah. So
for a while. It takes a while. Mimi,
follow her.
We find you.
So I'm Mimi in Oz on most socials. I do have
AUS, not Oz, like what you're thinking.
Correct, yeah,
AUS. I know you are.
Except on TikTok because I got banned because mentioning the clinical trial.
I'm back. TikTok? No, we were
No, she has another one.
Yeah, I've got another one now called Mimi in Australia. So yeah, but it's okay. Both of them are back up and running at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, because which is very annoying because I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. No. I'm just talking about my experience. I'm not selling peptides or giving medical advice.
No.
Yeah,
there are those
annoying,
though. That's the problem. The
yeah.
app will spoil it for the whole bunch. You know?
Yeah. I have to keep blocking them out of my videos because they just keep putting their peptide links in there, and yeah.
Oh, that pisses me off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's bots. It's just bots. Anyway. All right, guys. Good talk.
Okay. Thank you
all so much.
Energy.
Bye.
Bye,
guys. You want to know a hack to get insurance to cover your GLP-1 prescriptions? Here's the truth. Most people get denied the first time that they try, and insurance companies are betting that you're just going to give up. But you do have rights, and you can appeal not just once, but multiple times. The problem is the process is confusing and it's time consuming, and a lot of providers just don't have the bandwidth to be able to fight through it with you. So that's why I partnered with Claimable. It's an easy-to-use tool that helps you build expert-backed appeals proven to work. So don't give up on your shot at coverage. Exhaust your appeals. Go to getclaimable.com/plussides to learn more and use code PLUSSIDES with a Z to save. Today's episode is brought to you by Ro, a telehealth platform that's changing the game of GLP-1 access. What sets Ro apart? Ro understands the challenges of navigating insurance hurdles and the skyrocketing prices of GLP-1 medications. That's why they specialize in getting insurance approvals for GLP-1s. And if insurance is a barrier, they go a step further by prescribing brand name zepbound vials for prices close to those of compound GLP-1s. With Ro, you're not just getting a prescription, you're getting a partner in your journey that's helping you access affordable treatment and guiding you every step of the way. Whether it's insurance approvals or cost-effective alternatives, Ro is here to make sure that you get the medication you need. Visit ro.co/plussides with a Z today to see how they can help you take control of your weight management journey with affordable, accessible care. That's ro.co/plussides with a Z, making healthcare work for you. Check out the link in our show notes for more details.
Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.